Hey guys, this devlog is long overdue. I might as well call this a yearly devlog since I'm only uploading once a year, but whatever. I have a lot to share in this devlog. Templates and prefabs have arrived to hyperPad, our website is getting redesigned, improvements to behaviors, shaders, and of course lots and lots of bug fixes. The 2.1 update actually introduced a bunch of new bugs, especially with the audio engine, so we released a hotfix update. The 2.3 update also introduced some new bugs, which were resolved in the 2.4 hotfix update. There was just a bunch of new features that were introduced in each update that brought in new bugs, and then they were just resolved in the next update. Alright, let's start with the splash screen. We've upgraded the splash screen to use our new logo, and it comes in 3 different flavors. We have the classic green, dark, and light themes. You can change which one your project will use in global properties. Tap on this globe icon, scroll down, and you'll see the splash screen button. Click on it to configure it. We have all the themes here, and you can also select device preference. This will pick between light and dark themes depending on the theme of your device. So if your device is in dark mode, then the splash screen will use the dark theme. Pretty cool, huh? This toggle changes the transition between the splash screen and your initial scene. By default, there is a crossfade animation, but you can also disable it so it immediately cuts into the scene. Now you have some flexibility in how you want your splash screen to look. This will also apply to exported apps, including web. By the way, the web version is still in active development. Can't really say much here, but I'll just say we've made significant progress since the last devlog. The new splash screen is neat, but if it's getting in the way of playtesting, you can enable the skip and editor toggle here. This will bypass the splash screen and immediately take you right into the game. There's no fancy animation you have to sit through every time you want to play. Now, let's talk about screen settings. Previously, setting the screen was finicky, but now the preview here matches 100% with what you are setting. It also works with any screen size, as you can see here. This screen box is exactly where the camera will be set, a much needed quality of life feature. And on top of that, you can now adjust the anchor of the screen. By default, the anchor has always been the bottom left corner. Notice how this part of the screen never moves when switching aspect ratios? Now you can change it to wherever you want. You can change it to one of the other corners, or make it centered so that the camera actually stays in place. Instead of relying on behaviors to constantly adjust the screen, you can now keep the screen centered on your character like this. Very cool. Now, let's talk about audio effects. hyperPad will be getting audio effects. Right now, we have very basic effects like amplify and pitch shifter. In the future, we can start adding more advanced effects like reverb, filters, and distortion. So all play sound behaviors have this destination field. By default, it routes to the master channel, which is where the final result is heard. You can route it to an audio effect behavior like this. And in the audio effect behavior, you can route it to another audio effect if you like. So you can pass the audio through multiple effects, kind of like how the render texture behavior can stack multiple effects on top of each other. Multiple play sound behaviors can route to the same audio effect, so you can effectively group a bunch of audio behaviors together and control them all at once. For example, I have this amplify audio effect, which changes the volume of incoming audio. This can be all the in-game audio that will be playing, and the amplify audio effect can adjust the volume of all the audio that goes through it. So you can easily make a volume slider like this and control the volume of all the sounds that are playing. Cool, right? And we have the pitch shifter audio effect that changes the pitch of incoming audio. Oh, and did I mention? You can also automate the audio effect parameters in real time! What? You can use the automate audio effect behavior to animate a parameter of any audio effect behavior. So you can do something like this. I'm just making the pitch go up and down repeatedly really fast. Now let's move on to some other new behaviors and some improvements to them. Look, you can shake objects now, like how I shake that booty. We have the new add banner event behavior. This can detect when oh my god. This can detect when an ad was clicked, when an impression was recorded, when an ad was successfully loaded, and when an error was received while loading an ad. This is useful if you use banner ads in your project, but in most cases you probably don't care, and you probably didn't ask for this feature. Most users don't even monetize their projects, but this is here just in case someone needs it. You can give free stuff in your game if the user happens to click on an ad. Cool, I guess. We have the new debounce behavior, which adds a cooldown to events. You can think of it as anti-spam. So you have an attack and you want the cooldown to be like 0.3 seconds. You can achieve that using a debounce. It's pretty easy. You can adjust the time and toggle whether or not it is affected by the timescale. We have revamped joystick and tilt control behaviors. Most of you already know about this, but in short, you now have more granular control over how these behaviors work. You can adjust the minimum threshold for the character to start moving. Threshold. Oh my god, that is so hard for me to say, I don't know why. You can tweak the movement acceleration and deceleration, rotation speed, and animation speed. Very cool. The set health bar and add to score behaviors now have animation settings, so you can animate score and progress bars over time. The text bubble behavior now lets you customize the opening and closing animations. And the set label behavior can now adjust the alignment and text box size of labels. We have indicator events. You can detect changes of a health bar or life indicator and trigger behaviors when something happens. It can trigger when the indicator is empty, when it is full, when it has changed, when it increases or decreases. You can even detect if it has met a condition. For example, you can detect when the health bar reaches 20% or less. Hey look! The get array value behavior now has a built-in option to pick a random value.
Nice.
We have revamped the if behavior. Remember when you had to snap if behaviors to make else ifs like this? And the whole else if thing was finicky to use? Not anymore. The behavior now has two outputs. The bottom one is triggered when the condition is met. Otherwise, the right one is triggered when the condition is not met. You can chain if behaviors like this, and you can have any behavior be connected to the right. If you want multiple behaviors to trigger here, you can use a behavior bundle. We now have a network status behavior. It checks if your device is connected to the internet. It outputs 0 if you're not connected, and 1 if you are connected. That's pretty much it. There was a way to check if you're using cellular data or not, but we removed it because it wouldn't work for the web, and we want things to be consistent. So yeah, this is pretty useful if you want to make a multiplayer game. You should probably check whether or not the player is connected to the internet before you start playing. And finally, we have the hover event behavior. You can make interactive buttons like this. It can trigger behaviors on a specified hover event, on hover, while hovering, and on exit. And this behavior works with both mouse and touch. That's actually sick. Woohoo, that's a lot, but there's more. Holy shit. Yeah, no, I'm not reading all of that. A lot has happened within the past year. It's kind of hard to summarize all of it in like a 15-minute video. You can go read all of that on your own, I'm sorry. So a lot of stuff has been reworked internally, so there is now 100% parity between hyperPad and exported projects. So what you see in the editor will be what you see when you export your project for the App Store. There's a lot of UI improvements, bug fixes, and you know what, let's go over the rest of the actual fun stuff first. Shaders!
No way.
We have a new shader effect behavior, and it's stupid easy to use. It's an action behavior, and when triggered, it will apply a shader effect to something. In the behavior, you can choose the target, what to apply the shader to. We can apply shaders to objects, layers, the background, and even the entire scene. Here, you can pick which shader you want to apply, and then you can customize the properties right below. It really is that simple. You can turn off a shader by disabling the behavior, and it gets better. You can animate shaders over time. Oh my god! Just like audio effects, we have the automate shader behavior that can adjust properties over time. Oh, and it gets even better. You can stack as many effects as you want on top of each other. Guess what? Chicken butt! It gets even better! In the future, we plan to have a shader editor where you can create your own shader effects with behaviors. Just imagine all the amazing effects you can achieve with this. Holy shit. Yeah, the future is looking crazy. Let's move on to prefabs and templates. You can now tap and hold or right click on an object, press save as, and you can save the object as a prefab or template. For now, let's save it as a template. You can name it whatever you want. And as you can see, we now have a new template in the asset library. This is basically an object. It saves all the object's properties, behaviors, attributes, and tags into this asset. You can select it and drag it into your scene. Now you have the exact same object with all the properties and behaviors. How cool is that? You have this template object that can now be put anywhere you like, and you can edit each of them individually. They're all technically different objects, they're just created from the same template, hence the name template. Now, what about prefabs?
I don't know.
Prefabs are almost exactly the same as templates. Let's save an object as a prefab, select it from the asset library, and place it into the scene. When we select it, we can see here that it says prefab behaviors. Prefabs share the same behaviors across objects. So if I place the same prefab down, I can change its properties, tags, and whatever, but when I edit the behaviors, I'm actually editing the behaviors of both of those prefab objects at the same time. So if I make changes here, it applies the same changes to the other one. So prefabs are templates, except they share behavior logic. How cool is that? And let's say you have this prefab object. You want to edit its behaviors, but you don't want the changes to sync across all the other prefab objects. What you can do is tap on this branch button to disassociate it. When done, this becomes a standalone object. You can edit its behaviors without it changing all the other prefab objects. The cool thing about prefabs and templates is that you can spawn them using the spawn object behavior directly from the asset library. It doesn't even need to be in the scene. Oh, and it gets even better. From the asset library, you can actually share your templates and prefabs. You can share them to other people who might find them useful, and you can even import them into your other projects. Dude, you can transfer objects from one project to another now. That's freaking insane. Yeah, we needed this feature. Templates are .tmp files and prefabs are .pfb files. These are just zip files. You can unzip them to see all of the content inside. All of the data is represented in JSON, so you can actually use these files externally if you want. This is also used internally for the web version, so whenever you export a project to the web, it converts everything into JSON, so it can be played in a browser. So yeah, there's that insight into the web player stuff. I don't think it'll be ready anytime soon. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. In the future, we might have a dedicated place where you can share prefabs, templates, and maybe even asset packs, but for now, you can share it in the forums or our Discord server. If you want to learn more about templates and prefabs, I'll leave a link to the documentation in the description. Now, I'll briefly go over the website. For a while now, it hasn't been updated, like, at all. The app has been getting more love since the new hub was updated, but now look at this! Yo, the team low-key cooked with this? Oh my god! I helped a little by making some of the assets for the page, like these GIFs at the bottom. GIFs? How do you pronounce that? I don't know. The form also received an upgrade. It just looks better and it's easier to use. And of course, the hub! I actually haven't seen it yet, so this is my first time. Wait, the team actually cooked! This looks good, like actually. Oh no, it's come full circle. Oh, and the search looks good too. Wait, Why does this look better than the app? Are you kidding me? So yeah, the entire website has been redesigned, other than the documentation stuff. That still needs to be updated, but I don't know how they're gonna do that. I think the entire website is just freaking amazing. It looks so professional compared to what we had before. Now, what we really need is to have the help actually play projects in the browser, so we can play them from anywhere on any device. Wait, what? Okay, now I think this devlog is getting quite long, so I will end it here. Lots of stuff has been reworked internally. I can't wait to show you what we got later on. I am currently on break, but I literally go back to college tomorrow! I thought. So yeah, you most likely won't see me for a while. Again. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this devlog. Please let me know what you would like to see next in hyperPad. Maybe it'll even be featured in a video. Woohoo! Thank you for watching, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye!